US, from the UK, Europe, Singapore, etc. So it really increased, I think, our marketing depth and the reach. I'm a big fan of technology.
But how much of human element will still be required?
I think over time it also depends on if someone's buying their first home or second home. It depends on the brand. If it's a strong brand, there's enough of transparency. You should be able to take off 50% of the traditional human interaction. Yes, like you said 2 days ago, you may need to still visit the site once. But I think at least 50% of that journey, which is facts about the project, it may mean the walkthrough, location, the video. Everyone's doing all this drone stuff right now. So I think 50% of that can be eliminated through technology.
Nirupa, if I can add to that, so most of the home buyers right now are first-time home buyers, and for them the biggest, I think, the step when they make that decision is education and awareness of what it entails to buy a home and what's the process, what are the statutory requirements, what is stamp duty, like how do you register property, how do you get a khata. So I think that's where the hand-holding comes in from a channel partner, and if they can handhold them through that customer journey, that is a huge
But all that can be automated, right? Like this educating of brand awareness, what to look at, all that can be automated.
To a certain extent it can be, but at the end of the day a person likes to hear somebody out. So if they can talk them through technical jargon, it's much easier than going through FAQ.
So what do you think is the human element that will be required in the brokerage business?
So that's when they educate the...
Percentage-wise?
Can't put a percentage to it.
If I could say, I kind of disagree with some of those comments because I think technology is enabling brokers to help get better leads, market more efficiently, do it with a much less budget. But if you think about owning a house, I think average people buy either 1 to maximum 3 houses in their lifetime. And most people go all in. They invest most of their savings, they invest 5-6 times their income. And when you think about that, technology can only take you to a certain extent. You do need the on-ground broker like we have here to spend time walking that customer through that product, taking them there, taking the family there for that site visit, hand-holding them, and that's why it's such a key part of a developer partnership. We call them channel partners for a reason. And I do think that technology is going to disrupt many different industries, ours included, but this soft element of selling a house, I think it's going to hit a ceiling where it's just going to make things more efficient in lead gen, but we need people like this to partner with us and contribute to the sale. So I think this is a really important emotional and human element that we need as developers.
Thank you, Aditya. Okay, so I'm going to ask a quick one now. Which is your most favorite business app on your phone? Starting with Ashish.
Business app?
App, okay.
Moneycontrol.com, checking everyone's market cap.
Yeah?
WhatsApp.
Business app.
Communication.
Sure. Ravi?
ET News, I guess.
ET News, okay.
I'd have to say Google Pay.
I would say WhatsApp.
WhatsApp, nice. So if we had to, what is your most, or rather if you were to think about our business 5 years from now, where do you think, like which prop tech trend do you think will be most prevalent 5 years from now? Any tech that you're seeing now that could be whatever, metaverse or whatever it is there any prop tech trend that you see today that you think will be a lot more prevalent 5 years from now?
I think in terms of that whole, acquiring a customer, right? I think a lot of deployment will happen there. In terms of, because today I think everyone's so mobile, right? So we have customers, almost 50% of our customers are people who actually live abroad. Indians who are working abroad. So I think a lot of tech will go into giving them that, as much as possible, that look and feel and that walkthrough, as real as possible, is something I think a lot of companies would invest in.
So AR, VR, maybe.
But from the comfort of your home.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else?
So I think metaverse and generative AI would play a huge role in our lives in the next few years.
Can you give an example?
So I think right now we are experimenting with the metaverse as well. How to bring in new project launches on the metaverse. So there are startups who are like reduce the turnaround time to generate all these visuals and 3D renderings. Within 30 days, you can have a complete project rendered, and any customer can seamlessly view it from the comfort of their laptop or home or iPad or wherever they are. So it really helps, channel partners and our sales force to project that and market it to the customers. So that's a big one, and I think that will evolve with graphics and become more real in a few years. Generative AI help us in lead generation and as well as capturing that lead once we get it. So all of that will be automated, the responses and helping us find the right customer.
Thanks.
Yeah, I would agree with Zaid that the entire lead to booking to CRM process is where I see a lot of disruption that happens. I think a lot of artificial intelligence will get into it, a lot of data analytics, maybe data mining. Given that a lot of a lead now comes to social media, I think a more sort of targeted marketing or advertising, and to really find out who your target audience is, where they are, what their habits are. I think that's somewhere we'll see a lot more disruption.
Like behavioral analytics.
Behavioral analytics, yeah.
So quickly, I would say three things. One is construction tech. I would say labor is going to be an issue in India, and prefabricated material is going to lead the way, I think. I think AI is a great one, more for customer CRM, so automated responses, payment follow-ups. I think that's interesting. And I think the whole sustainability theme, the building management software is digitalizing a building, analyzing your consumption. I think that is something that's going to be quite big.
I think similar to what Sahitya said, I think on construction, like labor is going to be a big challenge. I think the faster that we can build, it's just beneficial for us. And of course, AI.
Thank you. Okay, last couple of questions. Since the audience is so enraptured, I thought I'll do an extra. You all sit on the boards of your companies. So, what would you advise your board in terms of how much your company should invest into technology and specifically PropTech each year? You can take a number, take a stab at a number.
Wow, a number.
I mean, or how would you go about advising your board on how to look at tech investments?
Right or wrong, I really think 5 to 10 years ago we thought tech was an enabler. I think 5-10 years down the line, I think it will differentiate who survives and who thrives basis the kind of technology we sort of adopt into our businesses. Because right from inquiry generation to the CRM journey, construction management, whatever the case may be, maybe ESG, environment management, through technology. And also the human beings resist change. For something so important, I think it has to be driven top down. If you leave it to your teams down below to adopt new technology, I fear how much you can penetrate, right? So my advice would be people really need to drive this from top down because it's going to have a significant effect. It's really going to differentiate success versus failure.
Sure. Zed?
I think I can't throw a number on board. It's very need-based, and as of now, I think the organization has a need across the board for technology, as Ashish elaborated on. So as Prestige, we saw this need because we embarked on this journey as toddlers 8 years ago, getting onto an ERP system called SAP. And ever since now, we've matured as an organization using that tool. We've realized the need for a blueprint and a strategy, and somebody, as Ashish said, to look at it top down. So we have a CIO now, and he has a clear mandate. So whatever is required, there will be a plan for it, and that will be signed off by the board, and that's the way we're looking at it. So it's more need-based than another number, because if you throw a number on a board, it's very easy for people to use that.
So tech, I think, was to have maybe a few years back, and COVID, I think, has accelerated adoption for all of us. And today, tech is a necessity. I mean, I think in every sphere, be it construction, be it sales, be it workflow management, every sphere, I think tech is important. I think it's very hard to put a number really, but I think what we really do is that in all our discussions, wherever we feel that technology can enable something, it's our sort of goal to do it. And we have a sort of a dedicated team, not necessarily very senior resources, but people who are tech savvy, who constantly sort of look to see what are the different tools that are available in the market to sort of improve these I mean, the workflow. I mean, a couple of apps that we've sort of implemented is like Asana, which is a workflow management. We did MindTickle, which is more from a training or sales productivity. So these are sort of things that we keep sort of having small interventions. But I think the big challenge that we also found is that it's very easy to sort of introduce a technology, but the implementation of it or getting people to adapt it, I think that is where the big challenge is really.
Yeah, I would say it is an overstated thing. Don't try to force feed it. The baseline technology is fine, and every now and then you can try. I think often developers get confused about the tech valuation and want to give them a job and want to take a stake in return, which I think I've been guilty of doing the same thing. It never works out. So don't live in that dream where real estate company, I think everyone has to have that baseline technology to enable yourself. And if there is something that helps you either increase revenue, reduce costs, go for it. But don't try to force feed things just because it sounds nice to be a tech company.
Nice, right?
Since you asked me for a number, I would say between 1 to 3% of top time.
Wow, thank you. First person to give me a number. Okay, one final question on your businesses before I open it up in case one or two of you have any questions. So Zed, Prestige made a big splash in Mumbai. How has the entrance to Mumbai been? Were there any unexpected challenges?
So it was a new market to us. We went with a certain expectation of our brand, and it took some time to build that brand again in the city. It's been about 3 years now that we've been there, and I think we'll know at the end of the journey how we've done. You can be the judge of that, but so far things are looking good.
Okay, so no unexpected challenges.
You'll see that along the journey, right?
Great. Ravi, your family got into the land game early, and then of course you got into the development game. So which business has turned out to be more lucrative, and which do you enjoy doing more?
I mean, Dad says that we're doing coolie work as a developer. I mean, he always believes that the money is in the land, and I think after so many years, I tend to agree with him really. But having said that, development I think is necessary for us to monetize the land, and that is part of the reason we got into development. Of course, the money is in the land. But I think what I really enjoy about development is that, land, it's a very intuitive sort of a business. It's a very sort of a trading model. It's a very relationship-driven thing. I come from a professional background, and it helped that, I felt I personally was better at sort of institutionalizing, setting processes, systems. And development lent itself to it. So we were able to move the business from being a very person-dependent, sort of individual dependent, sort of very gut feel sort of a business to a more system process dependent business. And I think, I'm fairly proud of what we've done in the last maybe 10, 12 years as a developer. So as a developer, we're relatively new. But having said that, I think we've done a fairly decent organization, getting good people. I think those are things that I really enjoy, building a team.
So it's a well-oiled business model and well-oiled machine now, vertically integrated. Aditya, your co-working business, the co-working business in general has been absorbing a huge percentage of the market. Obviously, pre-COVID, it was only 5% of the office absorption. Post-COVID, it's gone up to 20-25%. So, no numbers, I'm not asking for specific numbers, but how would you compare the returns of the co-working business versus the regular warm shell office rental business? Is the payback relatively the same, or how are you finding the models different?
It's literally double. If you lease 100, you're then subleasing at 200, so you make a big spread, but it all boils down to how do you value the business? What kind of multiples? Do you put a services value to it? Do you put a real estate value? Do you put a tech value, which was that bubble that popped? So very hard because the benchmarks are all skewed, but I would say we conservatively valued at 10x, 12x kind of a number, and very real estate as a service kind of a business. So the margins are good, and the model makes sense, especially today. So I think that 26% absorption we saw last quarter is going to continue. And co-working is here to stay, and we don't even call it co-working anymore, it's flexible workspace. So it's a perfect solution for a tenant that's looking for flexibility.
So then the payback is slightly quicker than a regular office?
It is quicker, but of course you have to monetize it. You don't own a hard asset, so it's a services business that you eventually have to dilute at some point and run it like a services business.
Thank you. Nischay, so sorry. I was calling you Adarsh. Would you do another hotel?
No, I think no, probably not. I think like how Ravi mentioned that it's about the land, no? I think.
So you're going to stick to the land business?
Land, yep.
Great, thank you. That's all the questions I had. I'm happy to open it up to the audience. If you have one or two questions, happy to take that. And then I'm sure we can all interact over dinner and drinks. Can a mic get to him? Sorry, I forgot to ask your question.
The last questions were so tough and interesting. I said,
I have one more question for Ashish. I forgot to ask your business question. Yes, please go ahead.
Hi, this is Zahid from Silverline. I think all developers are getting into land, selling of land, I mean, developing these layouts. And off late you see a lot of these farmlands which are, being carved out or getting these 0.5 guntas and things like that. So is this going to be good for the business? I mean, it's just going to be, just create these large layouts and nobody's going to build homes. What do you see is going to happen?
Who would you like to answer that question?
Panel continue.
And anybody?
sorry, I didn't hear this.
Yeah, we didn't hear the last bit.
Yeah, so what I was trying to figure out is these large developments of farmlands which are coming up. People are, carving out 0.5 guntas in these agricultural land. So is this going to be good for the real estate business, or it's might, create these environment spaces which really don't get developed?
I think in my opinion, it all depends on the distance from the city, from it being a first home or second home. What we're noticing when we drive around is that the layouts which are now closer to the city, within the first 3-4 years, you're seeing almost 40-50% of it beginning to start developing on their plots. B, I think again, sorry, I'm going to go back to technology. I think with internet connectivity, etc., right? And now we're so used to, and we've experimented due to COVID, of working from home, or now we're so comfortable doing VCs. Back in the day, once a week I had to be in Bombay. Now I'm in Bombay once a month, but I'm doing a VC with them twice a week with the Bombay office, right? So there's an interesting book called Death of Distance, which talks about how technology will play a key role in people actually living much far away from the cities because of great connectivity, etc. So I really don't know. Disruption is happening so fast. If I go back 20 years, the advancement in technology that happened over 15 years is now happening over 1 year, right? And I think that's going to get further accelerated. So I think it's very dynamic, and no one can probably give the right answer.
So I think to add to what Ashish said, there will always be a demand for this, because as developers, we are giving safe communes to people, So he rather come and buy a plot of 40-60 or 60-40 or 50-80, whatever I design in my plotted development, rather than go and buy an empty land outside, because it gives him that safety, security, it gives him uninterrupted services. We do the job of the government, but inside the development. So I think there will always be a demand, and apart from that, for developers, it gives us a great business opportunity to cash out from our land investments very quickly, even the landowners. And it's a great avenue to invest for a first-time real estate investor as well, who has that liquidity. And it's just 1 year, turnaround time. So I think it's the future, and I mean it's always been happening, but now it's happening in a better fashion with clubhouses and being managed by developers. So I think it's a way to go.
But if I think you're talking about agri plots in particular, I personally think it's bad for the city, because you end up with illegal encroachments. You're not selling a proper approved layout. So I think it's a disadvantage. I think there's demand for it because there's demand for land. People want a way to buy clean land. The appreciation in this country has been enormous, but I think it leads to illegal construction that then leads to blockage of nalas, blockage of badly planned cities. So hopefully there's a restriction on this, and we only live with approved layout land sales.
Hi, this is Alim here from Richmond Realtors. you all were talking about technology and all. Tell us 3 things we as a realtors needs to change, and 5 years from now to survive. What is the 3 things we should do as a realtors, as a broker? What's the advice you guys tell us and advise us?
General, I think in this country, one thing that really needs to change is the experience of the buyer, right? If I look at the top 10 brands and companies that have been able to establish strong brands, if you see the product, if you see the amenities, if you see everything else, we're almost comparable. I think one thing that we can all differentiate each other from is the experience, which unfortunately that 4-year journey of a customer, no matter who you are, ends up in an ugly divorce. So I think the endeavor from a developer's point of view or a channel partner point of view should be, what can we do in terms of seamless information flow, receipt flow, being able to make payments. So what technology can you deploy to better that customer's experience through that 4.5 years? Like all of us said, for most it's going to be their single largest investment. It's their dream home. But at the end of that 4th year, he doesn't want to see the developer's face. He's probably upset with the channel partner for having advised to buy that. But I don't think the intent is that. It may be because of that, you need to be more proactive in sharing more information and making that journey and experience of the customer more pleasurable.
My advice would be that maybe you should invest in deeper relationships. I mean, we all live in a world of technology that today it is just about, everybody has a reach. But I would really maybe invest in deeper relationship with the customer, with the developer. Maybe getting to know them better, build trust. I think these would really be helpful for a channel partner in my view.
Great. Thank you so much. I think that brings us to the end of our session. So thank you for your attention, and thank you to all my fellow panelists for being good sports about the questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Nirupa.
Sure. Wow, that's been a very interesting session, ladies and gentlemen. Put your hands together, give a big round of applause to the ones who decided to create the best face of the city, what we look at it now. Thank you for gracing the occasion. And